Have you ever felt the sting of betrayal from someone you love most? Picture this. You've spent your whole life pouring your heart and soul into raising your child, only to get a message disinviting you from family gatherings on Christmas Eve. How would that make you feel? Would you feel angry, heartbroken, or perhaps a little bit of both? Hi, I'm Matthew, and I'm about to take you on a journey that delves into betrayal, sacrifice, and the raw realities of family dynamics. This is not just a cautionary tale about familial rejection. It's a raw examination of how generosity can sometimes become a weapon in the hands of those you care about the most. Have you ever tried to build something beautiful only to watch it crumble right before your eyes? In this story, I faced the unfathomable challenge of reconciling unconditional love with the fierce demands of pride and arrogance. Join me as I unravel how I found myself teetering on the edge of emotional destruction, and how I ultimately fought to reclaim my sense of self and the meaning of family. To understand the emotional turmoil that ensued, it's crucial to know my background. Growing up in a modest household, my parents taught me values of hard work and sacrifice, but they struggled to express love. We always had food on the table, but it came at a great price: emotional time and intimacy. My father worked a factory job, silent and distant, while my mother balanced her role as a homemaker with financial pressure, often overwhelmed and unable to provide emotional support. When I married Laura, everything changed. She was my soulmate, the very heartbeat of my existence. In her, I found warmth and the ability to express emotions I had long suppressed. Our marriage thrived on shared values, dreams, and endless love. Losing her to cancer 5 years ago devastated me, leaving me standing at the edge of an emotional abyss. In grappling with my grief, I came to a realization. I could not allow Ethan, our son, to suffer the same emotional pitfalls I had endured. My mission became clear. I had to ensure his world overflowed with love and support. From the moment he was born, Ethan was my entire focus. I dedicated myself to being the kind of father I had always wanted. I created cherished traditions that revolved around love and care, pouring my heart into ensuring he had a sense of belonging. As he grew older, my resolve intensified. I worked longer hours at my tire repair shop, sacrificing my leisure for the sake of his education and well-being. I invested in his future without hesitation, believing every financial sacrifice made would solidify our bond and forge a shared destiny. Through bedtime stories, family dinners, and extended conversations about life, I created a tapestry of memories woven into the tapestry of our lives. Each birthday became a celebration not just of his age, but also of our relationship. Every smile he wore affirmed my parenting commitment. However, as Ethan transitioned into high school and later college, the dynamics of our relationship slowly morphed under the influence of external forces I had not anticipated nor could control. Ethan met Maggie during his sophomore year, and while I initially welcomed her into our family, I quickly began sensing an insidious undercurrent beneath her charm. She came from wealth, her family was steeped in privilege, and their lives revolved around social status. I worried my simplistic values might clash with the ideals she embraced. Maggie was clever and ambitious, and for a time, I believed she was a beneficial addition to our family. However, as I got to know her better, I felt an unsettling change in Ethan. He seemed infatuated with their life together, a life that increasingly drifted from our shared values. What began as an innocent relationship gradually morphed into something that felt isolating and domineering. Our first family dinner met my high expectations, but it also served as a harbinger of uncomfortable truths. Maggie's underlying arrogance surfaced in subtle, cutting remarks about my cooking, my work ethic, and my life choices. "Are you sure you can keep up with us, Matthew? The kind of food we eat doesn't come from corner shops," she once quipped, her laughter ringing like a bell in a quiet room, striking against my sense of self. Her family was watching me closely, evaluating my worth without the kindness of subtlety. It became apparent that their standards far exceeded my perceived value, and I was being evaluated against ideals that felt insurmountable. As Ethan's relationship with Maggie deepened, I felt myself fading into the background, trapped beneath the weight of their alliance. I watched helplessly as Maggie manipulated him into distancing himself from our traditions. His calls became less frequent, his visits more fleeting. I realized that my love was no longer a guiding force. It was becoming something to relinquish. When Ethan and Maggie got married, I wanted nothing more than to show my support. Believing it would fortify our bond, I contributed significantly to their wedding, shelling out over 20,000 for the venue, catering, and other expenses. Yet as I stood at the ceremonial festivities, something inside me felt misplaced. There was joy, but there was also a stark sense of loss. Waving at guests, I caught glimpses of Maggie's parents overseeing proceedings with judgmental gazes. I was an outsider in my own son's life, relegated to a role of insignificance beneath the veneer of tradition. As I sat there in that grand room, a hollow ache grew inside me. Ethan was choosing to cast aside the love we had developed in light of a relationship that served only to flaunt superiority. As time went on, I felt that our family ties were disintegrating under the load of Maggie's influence. Every visit from Ethan felt strained, and as he began spending more time with her family, I felt invisible. My role shifted from guiding light to mere spectator. Family gatherings, once joyous occasions, turned into uncomfortable events filled with stilted awkwardness. At first, I brushed aside these beliefs, insisting that Ethan was simply adjusting to his new life. I worked tirelessly to win back his affection, attempting to recreate the traditions we had once cherished. I prepared his favorite dishes, hoping they could bridge the gap widening between us. But every offering was met with indifference. It felt like my actions landed within a vacuum of silence. One evening, deep in the holiday season, I learned that Ethan and Maggie planned to spend New Year's Eve with her family, leaving me completely uninvited. I felt a heavy weight of despair. It became apparent that I was losing not only my connection to Ethan, but also the family I had dreamed of nurturing. Exhausted by emotional strife, I couldn't fathom how someone I had devoted my life to could so cruelly dismiss me. As I stood alone in my kitchen, my heart racing, the realization swept over me with chilling clarity. My love for him was real. I had given him my all, and now I was being discarded like an unwanted object. The final straw came one fateful morning when I was met with an icy text message from Ethan on Christmas Eve. "Hey Dad, sorry, but we can't have you for Christmas this year. We have other guests coming. Hope you understand." The words shattered me, each one a dagger aimed at my heart. It felt as if he had severed a long-standing connection with no regard for the time and love invested. I stood alone in the kitchen, mind racing, heart pounding. It echoed loudly in the silence, punctuating the emptiness engulfing me. Memories washed over me, every family dinner and laughter shared during holidays. How could he dismiss that? Each moment I cherished turned bitter, an emotion I couldn't bear to confront. I shot back my own desperate plea through a text message. "Ethan, you're my son. You can't just choose to disregard our past. I have always been there for you." Silence draped over my phone screen, empty and mocking. Days turned into an agonizing loop of thoughts, swirling around regret and rejection, leaving me heavy-hearted. Breathing felt laborious. Each inhale was a reminder of a relationship I fought fiercely for, now dangling on the precipice of despair. After days filled with isolation, I found myself finally picking up the phone again. As I dialed Ethan's number, my stomach twisted in knots. We needed to have a conversation. I craved clarity. "Ethan, can we talk?" I managed to ask, channeling all the emotional energy I could muster. "Dad, he started, but the tension seemed to loom in the air as anxiety pooled around us. "I didn't want to hurt you, but I thought." "Thought what?" I interjected, emotions bubbling to the surface. Thought you could just erase me from your life. What has Maggie told you? The familiar voice of Maggie cut through the silence, carrying her snobbery like a badge of honor. Matthew, it's really not you. It's just, we're trying to establish our own traditions. It's just different from how you raised him. The insult hung heavy in the air. Different. Is that what you call rejecting your roots? This isn't just about you establishing yourself. It's about turning your back on a father who has always been there. Ethan's silence was maddening, compelling me to reveal the emotional scarring contained beneath the surface. How can you choose her over me? An act of unconditional love isn't a competition that you can lose. A moment of silence passed before he responded haltingly. I thought I was doing what was best. And then finally, it hit me. The complete emotional shock that layers of influence had cast into his mind. With the biting anger festering inside me, I realized I had to take control of my narrative again. I had given Ethan over *50, 000 asterisk throughout his life, supporting him in every endeavor. I decided then and there that I would expose the truth, not for vengeance but to reclaim my identity. Days later, I gathered my receipts and bank statements, a testament to years of love misplaced. Each document represented sacrifices, nostalgia, and every ounce of pride I had instilled in him. This was documentation of emotional labor, the labor of love slowly draining under Maggie's influence. That evening, I cranked up the emotional turmoil and processed those statements with a fire lit in my heart. I resolved to act. I would reassess what truly mattered, no longer permitting myself to be the shadow of my own son's false happiness. I envisioned confronting Ethan in a unified, direct manner. The fear of retaliation turned into courage as I prepared to reclaim my narrative. He would witness my version of love, my role as a parent fully realized, not one driven by the need for validation, but underlined by a resolute determination to expose the truth. Days turned to weeks, and I remained in a whirlwind of apprehension. When I received a phone call from Ethan again, I felt a wave of apprehension flood me. Dad, can I ask for a favor? The question struck home. Would this be another call for my support? It was almost too much to bear. What do you need? I asked, allowing a touch of reservation to lace my tone. Maggie's voice quickly intruded, cool and collected. Matthew, we need someone to pick us up from the airport next week. It's not a big deal, but Ethan forgot to arrange a ride with his friends. How convenient, I remarked, feeling the anger bubble beneath the surface. You don't get to dismiss my feelings and then come crawling back when it suits you. Ethan's stunned silence twisted the knife deeper. I could almost hear the walls around him crumble as he processed the confrontation. I can't keep enabling this behavior. Love and support come with conditions, Ethan, and it's time you recognize that. I ended the call, watching the darkness exit my heart just as suddenly as it had entered. I had grown weary of their dismissal. As the hostility mounted, I discovered a local newspaper article that sent a chill clawing through my body. Abandoned business owner leaves son stranded. Sitting in a cafe, I nearly choked on my coffee as I read accusing remarks circulating about me. Unfit father, neglectful businessman, deserting parent. The words echoed like a painful mantra, twisting deeper with each read. This painful narrative, this betrayal, severed familial ties as others joined in gossip fueled by their lies. It became a misinterpretation of my love on public display. Each comment acted as an additional weight, casting shadows over my life as community members, once supportive, took to labeling me without a shred of information. These were people I considered friends, and yet here they were, so quick to accept the version of reality Maggie and Ethan had fabricated. I could no longer bear the idea of mopping around quietly while they tarnished my name. I felt the surge within me. I had to confront the injustice they imposed upon me, a quest to clear my reputation and reclaim the bond I was still relentless in trying to salvage. Seasons changed, and winter descended upon the town like a shroud of confusion and heartache. The holidays loomed large, each one filled with nostalgic memories turned bitter. I felt compelled to take a seemingly reckless step, but if I did not confront them now, I risked shutting myself out of their lives forever. I decided to confront the family. I arrived uninvited, driven to unveil the truth of my love before them. It felt liberating, despite the melodrama looming over my heart. I desired clarity for the distorted views they held. Walking through the door to their home felt like a dance of fate, my palms clammy with anticipation, but my resolve steady. As I greeted the guests, shock washed over their faces as I shifted the atmosphere, trembling with fear and uncertainty. "Matthew," Ethan exclaimed. Surprise etched across his features. I took a steady breath before retorting. "I'm here to talk about family," I announced, the documents I had prepared in hand, showcasing every act of love that had been dismissed. "Everyone here needs to understand who I am and what I have done for you both." The room tensed as I presented my evidence: receipts, bank records, financial support. I made it known that this wasn't just about money. This was a testament of my love, a series of sacrifices made from the depths of my heart. With each piece of paper I laid down, I witnessed shifting expressions across the guests' faces: confusion, disbelief, and ultimately, realization. My words penetrated the facade they had so carefully constructed. How could they dismiss years of effort built into familial love? Love should never be overshadowed by pride or superiority. "I've given everything I had for you, Ethan. I've sacrificed, bending over backwards to make sure you had every opportunity." The room held its breath as I delivered the raw truth. The reactions were palpable. Silence enveloped the space before Maggie's expression faltered. As my words sank in, the dam broke, and Ethan revealed the complexities he had struggled to articulate. "I just wanted to create my own family. I thought I could." "Create your own family," I interrupted, my voice charged with urgency. "That doesn't require you to erase your history. This shouldn't be about choosing one life over another. It's about incorporating the essence of love." I could see uncertainty flicker in Ethan's eyes, an awareness blossoming where it had once remained dormant. At that moment of realization, Maggie's bravado began to deflate. She stood trapped in her walls of false superiority, as guests previously enamored with her now gazed at her with newfound betrayal. What came next was an unraveling. Maggie, for the first time, stripped of her carefully cultivated veneer. The dinner turned chaotic as guests whispered, questioning her motives, and the air filled with doubts and accusations never uttered out loud until now. "You painted a picture of family that doesn't honor love. It's a facade," I asserted, laying bare the pain woven into our fabric. Ethan had started acknowledging bits and pieces of his role in this drama, recognizing how he had chosen to sideline the past for something that felt more glamorous. The inner turmoil surfaced, pushing him beyond the boundaries of his delusions. Through it all, I saw Ethan stepping closer to awakening as he engaged in raw honesty. "I was just trying to make everyone happy." His words resonated within me. It echoed the struggles so many experience when trying to negotiate loyalty and identity. In that instant, it became evident that familial love wasn't a simple notion. It was often messy, convoluted, and burdened by expectations we impose on ourselves. The evening unfolded with deeper narratives emerging, truths spilled from others that had been harboring their own experiences of betrayal under a guise of conformity. Days turned into weeks as conversations continued to broaden. Slowly, I began to relate the voices of my son. As Ethan confronted his own battles, I found a sense of hope catching forward. I wanted to be present as Ethan learned to navigate life juxtaposed against the values we held dear. I carefully approached family dinners with hesitation, but also a sense of possibility. I wanted to repair what we had lost, slowly weaving back together with threads strengthened by honesty. We exchanged stories, reflected on cherished memories, built connections that represented our shared past while healing from wounds. Each visit became restorative. Ethan began embracing the values I'd instilled within him. Even though Maggie displayed signs of insecurity, responding to discussions with defensiveness at first, we remained diligent in our approach, aiming toward a resolution that honored the past, yet did not cling to its painful memories. As I reflect on this journey, I acknowledge the challenges faced, the complexities in navigating the bonds that entwine family. Every piece of hurt we collectively endured ultimately became a lesson, a constant reminder that family is not just bound by blood or societal expectations. It is structured around love, respect, and the ability to forgive. Maggie made efforts to reach toward understanding of her missteps too. The bond may have shifted, but the potential for rebuilding was palpable. It would not be an easy process. It would take time to recognize that family evolves, but that does not diminish the careful weaving of connections built on love. I came to realize the past was no shackle but a poignant reminder of our capacity to grow. I welcomed the change, knowing that every setback served as a precursor to newfound relationships. The shared laughter I had feared lost showed itself again, reclaiming joy that had once been stifled. As I emphasized the values of community, family gatherings regained their vibrancy. Every story shared, every nostalgic laugh returned with vigor, revealing that love is indeed a multifaceted jewel. Even when tarnished, it can still shine brightly. From the depths of hopelessness, I gradually emerged with clarity surrounding family dynamics. The complexities of love, sacrifices, and mutual respect share an inherent promise of something greater. As I stand here today, reflecting on the painful journey I faced, I invite you to share your stories. How love shaped your family, the turmoil you overcame, or the lessons you learned along the way. Have you ever had a moment where the bonds of family were tested? Perhaps you encountered betrayal or faced a decision to revisit past relationships, navigating through hurt to honor love. Engaging with one another about our hardships can guide us toward understanding, forming an emotional tapestry that connects us all. Together, let's embrace vulnerability and open up about the resolutions we found in those pivotal moments. Share your thoughts below.